Hello, beautiful people. You remember I said we're going to do a series on pray, plan, and prepare? Well, let's start planning and preparing about food. Our food. If the grid got cut off, if there was an emergency where, like a hurricane or natural disaster, and everybody had to stay at home, and you didn't have a chance to go to the grocery store, or you went to the grocery store and everything was gone. There was not one item on the shelf that you can use, or not enough to last you for 2 weeks at being at home and not being able to go to the grocery store. This is where you plan and prepare. Think about the food that you purchase. Think about the food that you can and your family enjoy. Think about the food if the electricity went out and the power's out for those full 2 weeks. And I'm saying 2 weeks is because when I was younger, during the 90s in Florida, we had Hurricane Andrew, which destroyed many houses. We were without electricity for 2 whole weeks. And we did great. Why? Because somehow my parents were prepared. They had food already there, and they had a grill where they could cook the food also. So they cooked outside on a grill. Just those cheap little grill that's black, that's back in the day, before the fancy grills that we knew about. My parents cooked on a grill, so they had a way to cook their food without having electricity. And that grill probably now maybe costs $50, maybe with inflation 75, or on Facebook somebody is giving it out. But here are some things I want you to think about, prepare for, and plan. In an emergency, stuck at home, trying to rush to the grocery store, and there's nothing but only bread on the shelf. Here's what you do to avoid having to go to the grocery store at the last minute and run into this situation when you don't have enough food at home. Always make sure you have enough food at home if you couldn't leave the house. So you want to do garden. You want to have a garden because you have food that you can easily just go in if you stuck at home and could not go to the store because we had another lockdown, and they're not letting you leave your home. We don't know what the scenarios are, but there's no food at the grocery store, not enough. And so having a garden allows you to just go in your backyard and pick, catch some greens or some tomatoes, get some lettuce, whatever you need so that you can eat, because one thing for survival you need is food. So think about having a garden. I don't know what everybody's situation is, but there are a lot of people that are being creative. They're having a garden on their balcony, on their porch. They have, based on the limited space, people are making do with what they need to do. Another thing is, make sure you connecting with people that do have the space for a garden and seeing if they would share their food or find a way to barter with them. I'm not sure what the situation, but there's always a way. There's always a way to work things out. So first and foremost, having a garden, if possible, would be one way to get your food without having to rush to the store. The second way is you need to have canned items. I would recommend everyone learning to can. If you don't know how to can and you want to learn, say, can I can? Or just say, I want to learn. I do have a playlist, not that I've shown how to can, but people I watch in learning how to can, and I could share that playlist of other people's videos. So I don't have to teach you. There's so many people, but if you want me to do a video on that, maybe a live, we could do it together and telling you all that you need. Just comment below. Other than that, you have all these people that's doing videos on how to can. So you want to learn, or I encourage you to learn how to can your own foods. Outside of that, if you're like, no way, I'm scared. I know. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, can write a book about it. So yes, I know about being intimidated with canning. But if you're not going to do that, buying canned foods that you know that you eat. Don't just buy any canned food. Food that you know that can have long shelf life, whether it's your peanut butter, your beans, your corn, your peas, your chili beans, soups. Buy food that are canned. I always say, look at the ingredients, make sure it's healthy, but We need to eat, right? We're trying to survive. Make sure you have canned foods already in stock. It's good to have some dry items as well. Just in case you do have a grill, you can cook on the grill. You're gonna need charcoal. If you have a fire pit, even better. You have wood already cut up to use the wood. That's even great. So plan on what you need. Plan about the food that you need and how you're going to cook the food, or just eat it out the can, because at this point, we just need to eat. So food is one of the ways that you want to plan and prepare. How much should you prepare for? Start with 3 days. You haven't look at your pantry, pull everything out. Maybe it's time to do that spring, summer cleaning, but organize everything to see what you have. Could you make a meal for 3 days if you were shut in for 3 days for whatever reason? Natural disaster, another, pandemic, whatever. So you want to make sure you start with 3 days, then you move it to a week, and then you want to graduate to 2 weeks minimum. That's the minimum. I would say after you got your 2 weeks and you're comfortable with 2 weeks, duplicate that for 2 more weeks and duplicate that for another, at least 3 months to feel comfortable. And then I would graduate to 6 months, and anything else is up to you. There's ways to preserve your food, your dry items. I would say at least up to a year, but we're going to do baby steps. We're going to do 3 days to 1 week to 2 weeks, and then we're going to keep graduating, having enough food for your family. And if you're blessed that way, even thinking about others that might need help, that'll be a great idea as well. Asking God for wisdom to be able to preserve, plan to have food, and to be able to be a blessing to others with what you've done to prepare for. And so food is the number one on the list. Do you have canned items, dried items? Do you have enough food to preserve, to eat if you were stuck at home and could not go to the store? There was nothing in the store. Think about your peanut butters, your jellies. These are the things that you can have in the home. What else? What else? Because you could be locked down also without the electricity going out. So I just want you to just plan for both case scenarios, without power and even with power. What else? So garden, preserving foods within, that is canning your food, or preserving through Mylar, or dehydrating your food. These are all things that I'm not sure if you're going to be new. The language is new to you. But these are ways that you can learn to have food on the shelf. Canning your food, dehydrating your food, drying your food. Also buying canned items and growing a garden. So we'll do a series on as well as food preparation and preserving, so that you can start thinking about it and not having to stress. You don't need to have a garden to can your foods. You can buy frozen foods. You can buy frozen corn, frozen peas. A lot of the foods that you would buy in the store that's already canned, you can buy bulk frozen items or items you see on sale and can them, so they're not just in the refrigerator. They're also in your pantry, where you could just pop it open and eat it because it's already been cooked. I hope I didn't forget anything right now, because I'm just in the garden. I thought about, hey, let me just do this video. But I'm going to make sure to do a series and help you in creating a list and things that you should think about as it relates to only food. And then we'll move to the next one, is water. Everybody need water. So think about, again, recap. Think about the foods that you eat. Make a list of the foods that you would want to have stocked up in your home in case of an emergency. I want you also to think about how you're going to cook that food. How you're going to flavor that food. Did you have items for that? Do you have items to cook that food? Do you have a way to cook that food if the power went out? Or, those are the things that you want to think about. The food, how to preserve the food, how to flavor the food, and how you're going to eat that food. All right. So start planning and preparing. Things are going crazy. You never know what's around the corner. You don't want to be caught off guard. Be like the ant that prepares in the summer for the winter. So there may be a winter coming, and you want to be already prepared for it. Don't forget to pray, plan, and prepare. Until next time. Bye-bye.